Now then, you lovely people, let's get the show on the road with this first one of some mixing tutorials. Today we'll be basically doing an introduction, doing some housekeeping, and seeing where we go from there. Okie doke, as I said, let's get this show on the road. Right then, you wonderful people, let's get cracked on. Specifically, as I mentioned earlier, we're going to be looking at sorting out an initial balance and getting our head around the very basics of audio mixing, balancing, multi-track recorded stuff, live in the studio, but a song that has loads of different tracks. So for most of these demos, we're going to be using Cubase. Why Cubase? I've used it since Hector was a pup. That was a little animal that kicked him out a long time ago in a little cartoon. I've used it, well, I've been aware of it since, but it was Pro 12 and then Pro 8 or Pro 16, I can't remember which one it was. But I remember using it in earnest when it became Pro 24, and I paired it up with a Akai S950. I was thinking a nice little bit of history on Steinberg would be tremendous. I'll bung a link in the comments down below. Don't forget, while you're down below looking at them links in the comments, can you make sure that you give me the channel a like and a subscribe and ding the bell and all that other dribble that you do when you're doing one of them things. Make sure you've got a pen, a bit of paper, so hit the pause button. I'm going to give out loads of shortcuts and things in here. I'm going to wait till I get in a few weeks before I do like a definitive shortcut list of kind of cutting through, because generally when people do a shortcut list, they give you every single shortcut you need. Well, I think getting started with a handful is the way forward, and you'll remember them. Right, next. So what I want to look at here is specifically what we call housekeeping. Basically, this is keeping all your files and stuff in order. So, you know, where you're saving all your Cubase files, where you're saving all your Word files, is links to everything else that you're doing. So where and how often are you going to save your work, where you're going to save it to. Personally, I have all my projects on a separate drive and I back it up to Dropbox. Let's have a quick look at that. So there's my computer. Where have you gone? There, this PC. What we can see here is there's my projects folder where I keep all my projects in. There's my Dropbox folder. This Dropbox folder isn't, it's only attached to the machine by USB 3 cable. It's also on the internet all the time, so whenever I back something up, it backs up in the cloud. This is on a separate drive, as you can see, so I'll just pop into here. Let's have a look at our Cubase. Well, faffing on, mixing 01. Wrong one. Mixing 01, that's me, eyes are tired. Mix 03, the timbre thing, something else I'm going to cover later on. Mix 03, don't know why I call it Mix 03, probably because I'm just a bit crackers. So, let's have a look at Cubase. Right, we can open our project from here. We can open our project from, I'm going to close that one down. We can open our project from recent files here. Or we could just do the double click on here and it'll open up. I've never been a big fan of that because I was reliably informed by some super geek many moons ago that it sometimes there's problems opening everything you want with the file. So, file, open, go to that folder that's just behind there, click on that, and it says open. You see down the bottom here, there's loads of other different file types that we can open in Cubase. Once we get going, we'll get what they call back files here. And their backups as Cubase goes along, it automatically backs up every 10 minutes or so, which is tremendous if you lose everything. So, got that opened up now. Just a quick look back in this folder. What we can see here, there's some audio files. I've already dumped them in that folder. It's just a case of finding where that folder is on your drive and dumping your audio files in there. There's nothing to stop you putting them in another folder if you so desired. if I'm wanting to import these into a project, there's a couple of different ways we can do that as well. So the first way being File, Import, Audio File, and then I'm just going to look in here, and there's all my audio files. I can bung them in. I can listen to the files before I try them down here, so there might be a bit of a gap at the beginning with this. There we go. Let's just know it's a kick drum. That's tremendous. We can do it that way. These have all been what we call archived. They archive everything at 44.1, 16-bit or 24-bit. How are these 24-bit? I can't remember. Anyway, it doesn't matter for this instance, really. So what we're going to do now is I'm just going to clip on that folder, find where my folder was, project back up, 2017 music. Click on here, click in audio. Now I can see these, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to load these in, but before I do out, I'm just going to put the beginning of the song cursor at the beginning, grab them in, bung that in there, right at the beginning. It'll ask me, try again, right at the beginning, ask me if I want to go on different tracks. I do, that's tremendous. And then while they're all still highlighted, I just shove them along the end. Bin this off, don't need this now. For me, I would just hit a file, save as, 04. That's that saved. Next thing to do, check that we've got the right audio inputs and outputs going on. You can see this is your inputs from your sound card. I've got loads of daft stuff going on here because I've got loads of toys and things. And the output, I'm not using the stereo out. I'm actually going out the control room out, but you can assign them by just clicking on here, and that's my assigning one. It's telling me loads of things. Do you want to do it? Nah, not really, but I'll do them just so you can see where you click on them, and then we'll go back. So click on these and then click on that. It's monitor one. Yeah, do you want to do it? It's already in use. We know that because we've just done it. And consult your lovely manual if you're having really big hassles with this. Well, I wouldn't bother with the manual with Cubase. I would just go straight to Tinderweb. And just make that a bit longer there. Right, so we've actually imported something into Cubase now. How tremendous is that? Seen a couple of ways of how we can import them, the file types and the file structure. So let's have a little well, not a recap because it might be brand new here. What tools do we have to manipulate sound? The first one that we have is what we call a fader. This alters the level of the track. Solo allows us to adjust that track, and a mute allows you to mute the track so you can hear all the other tracks. So in this lovely window, we click up on a track here. Can you see this inspector opens? This allows us to do loads of other bits. We can see loads of other things in the same place. So let's find this fader thing. Click on there, there's a fader. Can you see it moving down in the mixer below? And also if we press F3, there's a mixer here. It's the same mixer as the other one. Hit F3 again, it'll disappear off. We've got another lovely little device here. We just hover over this, you can see it says Edit Channel Settings. Click on that, and there's our fader. We're going to come back to this in more detail, probably the next session. I'm going to go into what we mean by mono and stereo in a little bit more detail, but this here is our pan, lets us pan wherever we go on. Double click on that, hit 0, enter, and it gets it bang back right in the middle for you. So there's some of the functions that we're going to use today. So today, what instruments do we have? Can you identify these instruments? We're not going to be doing a very good job with the mix if we're not able to identify the instruments that we're going to be mixing. So can you identify all the instruments that you have? For example, what makes up the drums? Technically, it's drums and percussion. Cymbals are a percussion instrument. Can you tell the difference between a kick drum and a snare drum? We'll look at them in a sec, overheads and things. Do you know what I mean by a bass guitar? Electric bass guitar? Is it acoustic bass guitar? Is it like one of them big git bull fiddle things, acoustic bass, upright bass? Guitar, what type? This could be as simple as acoustic guitar, electric guitar, or it could also be as simple as Is it a Strat? Is it a Telecaster? Vocals, are the lead or backing vocals? Also, one of the things we need to be aware of is we have these, what I've always called the magnificent 7 areas of a mix. Each of these are as important as the other. Some of these might be brand new to you. I've used these over the past years and years and years when I used to work for a company doing A-level marking, which was tremendous fun. And we had to mark production work, and the specification that we're working to, that's like the rules and regulations of whatever you're studying, covered these 4 areas. The first one being the balance and blend. Do all the instruments sit well with each other, or is something louder than something else? Have we made use of the stereo field? If we have 2 speakers, it seems to make sense to use of the stereo field. There are reasons why some songs don't use a stereo field. I'll be covering that again in something else. Management of EQ. Are we EQing the individual instruments? Are we EQing the whole mix? Do we understand what we mean by the management of dynamics? So the mix itself, does it get louder and quieter? Does it need dynamic control with a gizmo in its simplest form called a compressor? Have you added effects to the mix? Does it need any effects? Have the effects on the mix spoilt this? Made the listening experience a bit pants for you? That's a technical term. Depth of field. Really, this is something that is addressed when you are recording the original sounds and the original music, but it can be looked at when you are adding reverb or something to place something further back in the mix. Presentation and production. This is an important one that a lot of people, when they're first starting to mix, kind of neglect. Is there a bit of noise at the beginning of the track? Does the track start too late in, 5 seconds or whatever? Is there a fade at the end? Does it need a fade at the end? Is there loads of racket everywhere? So they're the magnificent 7, really, that we'll be looking for. We'll be looking and referring back to them over the forthcoming editions of this lovely little video thing. What we've got going on here is we've got loads of faders. These bits are what we call our pan. This is the master fader. I've got this hooked up to a little gizmo in here that I can move without touching the mouse, just for when I'm waffling on and things. Each of these is an individual track. This was all done what we call live, and then there was a couple of bits overdubbed later on, especially backing vocals. We've got backing vocals here, and these have all been labelled lovely for people. I'm probably going to give these away when I start doing me from the vault thing. So first off, let's have a little look. Let's get rid of the bits that relate to the drum kit. Oh, we can change the colour of things as well, how pretty is that? So I'm just getting rid of these. So what we're going to listen to now is just listen to the track. Nice and quiet. We've got this quiet before we come to do the mix. So I'm just going to pull the overheads down a bit, and you can hear some of the room sound disappear a bit there. Pop it in the track. There's our kick drum, snare drum. Now, watch what happens when we do these overheads. Let's get on a bit of the track and yeah, that's coming out of both speakers now. That's stereo bit. I'm going to use this is the pan control. We're going to go into that a little bit more with a bit of EQ next week. There's the bass, guitar. Pan it left and right. you want the vocal sat there in the mix, or do we want it here? Just use the shortcut there. The plus and minus on a numeric keyboard go backwards and fast forward and rewind. If we want to zoom in and out on the mixer, G and H. If we click onto the arrange window, G and H, zoom in and out. And then we've got zoom in and out horizontally, not vertically. Horizontal, vertical. 10 points, Stephen. So, what I would do here is, if I'm just set my little mix up, I've used the song position marker, and I'm just pressing Control and 1. That sets one locator point, and Control and 2, another locator point. And then what I'm doing is, just next to where it says number lock on the numeric keypad, I'm hitting that. And you see this purple thing come on here? That means we're on a loop now. But I press back to 1 and that takes us back to there. Do you want the vocal up loud in the mix like that? Your choice. So, or Mr. Producer's choice. So let's have a listen to them again.
Don't you know?
Can you see with that I'm moving the guitars have an effect on the level of the vocal. This is not good really, getting above this point here. This little line is where we've got what we call 0 dB. You're running out what they call headroom. I would pull everything down a little bit. I mean, I'm just throwing this together for the purposes of what we have. A little recap and review of what we've covered so far. We've covered loading in some audio files. There's loads and loads of places where you can get audio files on the Tinterweb. Just a quick search and that'll get you along somewhere lovely and nice to have a look for that. And then what have we got left? So as a final review, what have we done today? What have we done in this session? What's the most important thing that you've learned out of this session? Is it worth writing down so you don't forget it? What questions do you have from today's video? Don't forget, hit the comments at the bottom. Is there a reason why I look at something a certain way? I'll answer them when I work out how to. Hey, no, I should be all right. What do you want me to do? What do you want to know next? If you were quite happy with all the mixing thing, would you like me to delve into more of the music industry stuff? I can get some of that going along, running in parallel with these. And finally, have fun. Your work here is done. Till next time, missing you already.